Okay, we're going to talk about training and exercise and just overall movement now. So, from a big picture point of view, it's really important that we're doing training that gets results. Most of us don't have a lot of time. So, when we are putting time and energy into our exercise and our training, we want to make sure that we're getting the most out of that session. So, you'll often hear me refer to your resistance training, which is essentially you're lifting weights, as training and not exercise. This is deliberate because training is really about structure and routine and about achieving a certain particular goal at the end of it. Versus exercise is more about general movement, which might be at random times and random forms of movement, absolutely a place for it. But we're going to look to incorporate both of those throughout your program. So why training? Why resistance training in particular? Well, that's really what's going to change your shape for the most part. So we really want to put an emphasis on maintaining or ideally building lean muscle tissue so that we have that sort of fit, toned look that a lot of us are after. I want you to think of having muscle on your body kind of like your Spanx. So this is what's going to lift you up, smooth you out, and tone you, okay? But having more muscle on your body also means that you're more likely to have a higher or a faster metabolism, is the term that you might have heard, which essentially means that at rest that you will potentially burn more calories. It's not a whole lot more, but hey, every bit counts depending on your goals. It also means that we're just going to be stronger, and being strong is awesome. And it also means that we're setting ourselves up for our future years, okay? But it's also great for our confidence and it's great for our long-term health. But when it comes to training, surprise, surprise, consistency is what matters the most, okay? It's not about one workout. It's not even about like 6 workouts. It's just about consistently working out over time, recovering, and doing a little bit more each time. This is what this progressive overload concept is that we will talk about further down the video. But when it comes to training, where to train is really important. My answer to that is choose what you'll stick to. So that might be gym, it might be a home setup, or it might be a combination of both. It might be that you really like your boot camp classes. Whatever it is, the most important thing when it comes to training is adherence, and we need to do something that you enjoy. Convenience matters and consistency wins. So if you're going to a gym, for example, make sure that you do choose a place that feels welcoming and that you're comfortable at, that it's convenient to get to, and that will fit easily into your routine. The best one is actually something that you're going to go to. Now, if you choose to set up at home, here's just some setup essentials. You'll also find some more detail in and around how to set up a home gym inside of the group section, which has a PDF on what you'll need. I won't go through this list in too much detail, but some dumbbells, resistance bands, a bench if you've got one. These are all really useful equipment to have for your home gym setup. These days, these sorts of things are quite accessible from places like Lee Warehouse, Kmart, the Warehouse, Torpedo 7, Mighty Ape, lots of different options, okay? So just emphasizing or re-emphasizing why we do lift. Basically, more muscle equals a better life. You might have heard phrase being thrown around a bit on social media where muscle is the organ of longevity. It is really important, particularly as a woman going into their perimenopausal years and or beyond, that we try our best to have as much muscle on our body as possible so that we can better set ourselves up for long-term resilience, good bone health, and just overall heart health, and to reduce the likelihood of disease and so forth. Having more muscle on your body is going to help with all of those things. Also, it is easier to maintain fat loss if this is your goal, if you've got more muscle on your body. So, how hard to train? Well, effort and intensity absolutely matters when it comes to training. So again, training, I'm more referring to your resistance training or your weightlifting. So the first few weeks are really about learning the movements and getting familiar with the program. So this is where I would ask you to use an intensity of around 6 to 7 out of 10. As you progress, you should really move to somewhere around a 7 to 8 out of 10 in terms of intensity. So trial and error is really normal. Remember, we're ideally in this for the long game. If dreams were free, I'd have you lifting weights right until the end of your life. So there's no rush here. So try to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey of getting stronger over time, learning how your body works when it comes to weightlifting if you haven't done it before, and figuring out what your weights are to start with. But generally, once you've progressed to the 7 or 8 intensity out of 10, what this looks like is at the end of each set prescribed to you for each exercise, you should have 1 to 2 repetitions left in the tank. So we're not going right to that point where we're absolutely failing and you have to drop the weight because you can't do anymore. We're going just shy of that. So another way of describing that, I often refer to the ugly face. So it's not that we are grinding to the point where we can't do it anymore, but you should be working hard enough that the last few reps should slow you down a little bit, and you should be pulling a pretty ugly face when you're doing it. So another way of saying it, you should be hard, but it should be hard, but you shouldn't be feeling wrecked. And it's not just about going through the motions. So this video here, if you just bear with me, so like I said, don't necessarily to be like that at the start, but over time, ideally you're pulling a pretty ugly face and you're working pretty hard. Okay, this is how you're going to build muscle and get results. So moving on, rest is part of the plan. So as you can see from the video that we just watched, at the end of that set, she probably is going to need a rest, right? So this is all part of the plan so that you have better recovery, better performance, better results. Do not rush your rest. And if you do feel like you don't really need a rest, chances are you probably haven't worked at that 7 to 8 out of 10 intensity that we're looking for. So that might mean that you need to increase your weights or increase the repetitions. So if you do get bored in your rest though, because I do myself, just walk laps of the gym. Try not to sit down. You could also do a bit of mobility. That's the other thing that I'll often do is sort of stretch it out and just keep moving my body. But it is important that you do respect the rest because it allows proper intensity, because it means that for the next set, you can show up with a similar intensity than what you did for the last set. The app that you'll be using has a built-in timer, so make sure you use that and don't skip it. So warm-ups are the other thing that I just wanted to talk about. Warm-ups, a general warm-up isn't actually needed if you don't necessarily have the time to do it. Ideally, before each exercise, a couple of warm-up sets at 60 to 90% of the weight that you plan on lifting during your working sets is enough to warm up, okay? So you can just do that before each exercise. But a lot of us would benefit, or most of us would probably benefit from working on our mobility. So there are optional mobility sequences available to you inside of the app if you'd like to do a dynamic sequence. These can be done before the workout, after, or even on non-workout days. So these do prepare your muscles and reinforce technique. Now, progressive overload. So this is a term that you may have heard before, but it's really, really important when it comes to training because progressive overload is what will drive visible change. If you've been training or exercising for years and you're not seeing visible change, chances are it's because there's not enough consistency and there hasn't been enough progressive overload built into your program. So progressive overload is really doing more work over time. So it could be doing more reps, it could be more load, like lifting more weight, it could be better control, slowing the movement down, and it could be improving your form and technique. Basically, we want to be each week or fortnight or month, depending on your starting point and your ability, we want to be doing a little bit more each time. So That is why when we do a training program, a resistance training program, it's going to be the same program for at least 6 weeks. So 6 weeks minimum that you need to stick to it. Ideally, it would probably be 8 or even 12 weeks, but I do understand that we all get bored and we like a bit of variety, but we really want to be tracking our repetitions and weights, which you'll do inside of the app, and it will remember what you did last time so that you can build on it for next time, so that you can see those visible changes. This is a really, really important concept. It's important that you don't push yourself to the point that you get injured and hurt yourself. Obviously, we're not going to that point, but ideally, we want to be trying to do a little bit more over time so that we're sending the right message or stimulus to the muscles, which is that we want them to grow. And it's from that growth of the muscle that you're going to start seeing some changes with your shape and your body composition, and you're going to see fat loss, if that's your goal, happen a whole lot easier. And then the maintenance of that fat loss is going to be a whole lot easier. So technique and form are obviously really, really important because we don't want to get injured. Because if we're injured, then we can't train at all. So that's no good to anybody. So practice really does make perfect. Going back to what I said before about embracing the journey, this is ideally for the long term. So just practice, weightlifting, resistance training. It's all a skill, and skills take time to get better at. So make sure that you do move with control. Film yourself if you're unsure and send it to me. I'm more than happy to do form checks, ask questions, and just enjoy the time to get confident with your lifting. And then other movement. So other movement absolutely counts. So this is what I more refer to as exercise. So this is things like Pilates, sport, walking. These things all matter. So do make sure that you incorporate these. Movement is movement. Be consistent with it. Make sure you do try new things. Log them in the application when and if you do them, or some of us have watches that will sync with the app and pick it up automatically. This extra movement, it helps us manage our training and the recovery as well, which is really important. So on our rest days, it's really good to get some extra movement in. Not too aggressive, but active walks, that kind of thing, are going to help with your overall recovery. Now you'll see in the app, most of you will have access to some optional metabolic circuits or sprint sessions. These are supplementary to your training or your resistance sessions. These circuits don't need to be really done more than once a week. So one metabolic circuit a week and one sprint session a week would be fine. Any more than that, please make sure that you talk to me. But these are short and sweaty, fast, efficient, and effective, and lots of fun. So if you want to do them, go ahead and do them.